If you're a woodworker who works with traditional hand tools, you've probably been exposed to the idea of the Roubo style workbench. You've probably thought about building your own Roubo style workbench, or you're already using and have built a Roubo style workbench and you're using it every day and loving it. This style of workbench was invented in the 1700s in France. It carries the name of its inventor, André Jacob Roubo, who made a lot of contributions to woodworking, and he's just created an excellent design. The thing that characterizes the most is sort of a flat front and this tall leg style vise, as opposed to sort of a smaller horizontal vise. You've got this very tall vertical vise, and also on modern Roubo workbenches, you'll have a split top and a tail vise or a wagon vise. So why 3 centuries later are we still using this design? Why does it work so well? And really the answer is it's just solves a lot of problems. It's just an excellent 3-dimensional clamping surface, a workspace for working with traditional woodworking tools, and that's sawing, planing, chiseling, so hand tools basically. So what I've done here is I built a 1/6 scale Roubo bench, and it's scaled to about the size of a Barbie doll. And I built it for my daughter for her Christmas present. And I did it for selfish reasons because she's always using my workbench to cut small pieces of wood, and she's always making a mess of my sort of larger tools and my work surface. So I thought if she could have her own work area, she could go to town on this and wreck this, and it would be fine. So when I built this and when I was testing it, I was actually surprised at how well it worked for small to sort of almost medium-sized woodworking operations. It is kind of useful having an entirely portable miniature Roubo bench. So I'm just going to take you through some of the features and you can decide for yourself whether you think it's useful or not. Okay, so let's just go through the main features of the Roubo bench, whether it be full size or miniature. It has a large flat front for clamping workpieces. It has a leg style vise, so this very tall vertical vise. This one that I made is supported by a crisscross or sort of scissor style mechanism that keeps it parallel. It has what's called a sliding dead man. So this contains a peg you can put anywhere here to support those larger pieces. It has a tail or wagon style vise. You can hold work pieces vertically, or in combination with pins you can hold things down for planing. It has a split top which has a tool well to put tools into, or you can do it like this as a sort of rest or a planing stop, or you can run clamps through here. So there's a wide variety of clamping possibilities, and you should be able to handle anything from a toothpick to the equivalent of like a door or something, and be able to work it on every face. Okay, now obviously a piece of wood this size is not going to really have any mass, right? So when you're sawing or doing planing, you're creating an immense amount of lateral forces, and you're just going to knock the thing right off the table, basically. So they really have to clamp it to something with a lot more mass. I'm just going to clamp it to this table here. So the first thing, of course, is the leg vise. And let's see, this is an appropriate size piece for this type of bench. Let's clamp it down. It's actually quite in there. Let's see if it can withstand the forces of planing. This is an appropriate sized hand plane. Yeah, certainly without moving. We can try sawing. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Here's a test where it's a workpiece that's actually too big for the bench. This would be the equivalent of, I don't know, like a 10-foot board in real life. And we can support it here and with 2 points of support. We can support it here in the vise, and then we use the sliding dead man to support it as well. I'm gonna clamp it down here. And that's got a lot, just having those 2 points of contact creates a ton of support, and it's actually quite solidly in there. Let's run a plane over it. Yeah, that works well without moving. Here's a full-size Japanese kana type plane. Yeah, it works quite well for that. So let's look at the leg vise. It's supported by a crisscross mechanism and driven by a threaded rod. The crisscross allows it to maintain parallelism as it moves towards clamping a workpiece, as you can see here. And it's got its own set of mechanics, and that's something you can look up if you want to see how it works. It took me a while to figure this out, actually. But yeah, it works quite well. One of the key components in this is having a slight rack. That way all the clamping force is focused where it really counts, which is right at the top. And I'll show you why. So it really just pinches the workpiece there, because when you're sawing or planing, that's where all the forces that want to rip the workpiece out of the bench are happening. So that's where you want your main force to be, is right there. As you can see here, even in miniature form, it still does a hell of a job of clamping. I'm really having a hard time wiggling that around. Now we're going to look at the tail vise, and the purpose of the tail or wagon vise is to you can hold pieces vertically, or you can lay them flat for surfacing a board or planing a board. I'm just going to put these 2 pegs, which are just 1/4-inch dowels, effectively, and see if we can clamp this here for some planing. Yeah, that's really doesn't feel like it's going anywhere fast. Okay, so I'm going to use, I'll use a small plane first. See if we can. This is not the sharpest thing in the world, but yeah, you can certainly go to work on the face piece. Let's go up to a full-size plane. Oh, actually, it's hitting this thing, so it's a bad design, but. Yeah, it functions. You can do the work on a small piece. And let's just check this out for sawing. Let's use a full-size saw. And we can do some chisel work, say if you want to chamfer these edges. This is cedar, so it's just breaking apart like crazy. Yeah, it's all possible. Another great feature is the split top, or the and that inside the split top is a tool well. So you can, all the tools that you're going to need for your session, you can just put up there. Right now I only have kind of small holes there, but you could put a small saw like this in there. You could put a chisel, and it just sits right there. So, you know, it just contains everything you need for your work session. And if you flip it around, it'll actually be raised up a bit. It's a good place to put a plane down, or you could just use it as a stop for planing stuff. So those are the three main features. You've got the leg vise, the front clamping surface, the wagon vise, and the tool well, the split top that allows you to clamp in various ways. Again, it's truly one of the best clamping surface / workstations around, and it's just a great design. That's why it's lasted 300 years. It was a fantastic contribution to the art and craft of woodworking. So is it worth it building something like this for yourself? Perhaps it is. Maybe you want something to go on vacation with. You just want something to take outside, take to the park and do a little woodworking. Who knows? Whatever reason you need a small portable bench that you could, you could put it in a large bag, a shopping bag or backpack, I guess. But really, it only weighs a few pounds, so you could take it pretty much anywhere. Yes, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and maybe you'll be inspired to build your own miniature 1/6 scale Roubo workbench.